So I've made up the rockets, the kit rockets. What I did was I added a bit of wire for the electrical fuse for the rocket. So that's just a small upgrade you can do to a kit for little money. Just adds to the look. Obviously aftermarket rockets would be a lot better, but I'm just going with the kit. Just be careful if you're building it and you're putting the mounts on, the pylon mounts, because I built one and then I tried fitting it to the wing, and I realised that the slots that these pylons go into, the front one you need to push it as far forward as you can, and the back one you need to push it as far back as you can. The back one's got a pretty big slot in there, so it can move around. You need them as far away from each other as possible to fit in the wing slots. I've added some detail to this engine. I think I mentioned I bought this kit years ago. I'm thinking like probably 10 years ago or something. So what, I was all keen back then and I printed a picture of the engine. Now this isn't the same as that because the wiring on here just looks different to what is available for the wiring to come out of on the resin part. So I've just sort of winged it and just did it somewhat to the picture, but not exactly to the picture. So for the purists, I'm sorry, it's not accurate, but you know, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. So once it's all painted up and that, it'll look fine in there, and it's got the extra detail. I put the push rods in. I cut brass, I use brass for them, and I just use some copper wire for the wiring. And like I said, you're only going to see the front anyway, so when the cowl's on. So I've done them. What I'm going to do now, I've held it off as long as I can. It's time to clean up that wing. Oh yeah. So I'm going to sand up all the seam joins, and I'm going to have to clean up. I had that piece of plastic card in there to fill in a gap. You can still see gaps. I'm just going to use perfect plastic putty, the water soluble putty, just to fill them in, clean it up. Once it's all painted, it'll look alright, but it looks pretty nasty now. So I got to clean up seams. That's going to take a while, and then same under here. It's a bit messy under here, chunks out of there and whatnot, so clean that up. And I also need to clean up the this is the cowl. That's all good to go. It's got to paint the inside of it. I'll paint it black, then the interior green on the inside, and then when it's fitted on, paint it the exterior glossy blue. So now, and I'm going to clean up these seams as well. This is going to be, you can see that broke. I haven't fixed it yet. I'm going to wait till I set it where it's going to finally rest. This will be easy to clean up than the wing, but yeah, probably a couple of hours work here, clean up all those seams. Okay, I've primed up rockets 8 by, so 8 of those. I've given the engine a prime. It's still drying off, and I've done the inside of the cowl. Wipe it away. I've done my first round of sanding, and had to putty. Obviously you can see where I've had to touch it up. I still need to clean up this side a bit. That was the one that had the chunks out of it. I'll have another look at them. I might need a bit more, even though they're panels. I don't want gaps going all the way through to the interior, so I have to touch them up. that's got to dry overnight now minimum, but I'm working tomorrow, so I won't be back on it for a few days again. So I have one lotto. Fuselage again. There wasn't gap all the way along there. Sometimes I just I had a gap here, a couple little areas. I just smooth it out all over and sand it up and clean again. Here had a gap inside the tail wheel well. So again, that's got to dry off. But once that's cleaned up, then it's time for mating these pair together. Now I've noticed on a dry fit, there's a gap. Let's see, you see that between the leading edge of the wing, the upper surface, and the fuselage. It's spread apart, and this sort of begun to work out how I'm going to tackle it. So you can see here the gap's gone. I'm going to have to do the same here. What I'm doing is I've got just plastic hard, so basically you need to spread the top of the wing up, make the gap wider, even though I've glued it how it's supposed to be. There's actually even a gap there where it should be flush, but it's still, you can see there I can flex that wing up, so it needs to come up to mate to the fuselage correctly. So I'm going to use plastic card to jack it up, so to speak, to fix that issue.